Speaker Sri Rajesh Gognaji is here. I'd request, sir. Sir is an advocate at Delhi High Court and has a legal practice of more than 28 years in field of law. Sir is standing counsel for Government of India in Delhi High Court and represents various ministries, departments, and autonomous institutions of the Government of India. Sir is associated with Human Rights Movement and has presented papers in various national and international conferences. Sir is presently the Secretary General of Human Rights Defense International and has supported the cause of Sri Lankan war crimes, war widows of Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan refugees, and persecution of minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh. Sir is also the independent director of Engineers India Limited, a Navratna public sector undertaking of Government of India under Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gases. We are honored to have you, sir. I'd request Uma Shankarji to please felicitate, sir. I'd request, sir, to please be on the stage. Sir. Huh? How's your feel?
हरीश अय्यर के बाद तो कोई बोले तो मुश्किल हो जाएगी उसके लिए क्योंकि attracted so much of interest and it is always beneficial to know something from the person or from the community who has suffered it. And so I won't get into the detail because I have not heard my previous speakers. But I'm coming to, because I'm a human rights activist, so I just come to the judgment which deals with the societal morality and constitutional morality. Because that is which changed everything in this episode. So, societal morality like untouchability. So, Hindustan mein for centuries together, untouchability was a societal morality. So, to touch a scheduled caste or Shudra or Atishudra was a pap. And if anyone was violating this particular mandate of dharma, was committing a sin, he was to be punished, he was being punished. For centuries together, societal morality said, to touch a Atishudra or Shudra is a sin. You are going to be punished for it. Now, with our constitution, when we say we abolish the untouchability, we say your societal moralities, we keep at a distance. Now we are entering into an arena where we are going to ensure equality to everyone, liberty to everyone. So your societal morality are coming to an end. We are entering into a new era. So it comes with the untouchability. Then the temple entry. Last year we had a program. One of our members, who's also going to be speaker with you today, Mr. Tarun Vijay. So he had a program in Uttarakhand wherein he just tried that the Shudras should enter into a temple. So he was stoned, beaten up. The Shudras were stoned and beaten up. What was this? This was a societal morality for centuries together. For centuries together, the Shudras were not being allowed to enter into the temple and even now into the sanctum sanctorium of the temple. So for years and centuries together, it was a societal morality that Shudras should not be allowed to enter into the temple. With the adoption of the constitution, we declare, sorry, your societal morality are not acceptable to us. We believe in our constitutional morality. We believe that there should be equality, and so you cannot deny the entry of Shudra to the temple. So our constitutional morality put an end to this societal morality of untouchability. Then if we go further, this caste barriers, because in the last speech of Dr. Ambedkar, he said, okay, now we are getting this freedom, so-called freedom. So now onwards, we won't be able to blame anyone. He said that even the caste is anti-national. Now there are so many things. In the last speech of, kindly go through that last speech of Bhimrao Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly. He said that caste is anti-national. So the inter-caste marriages, that was a societal morality, that the Brahmins should marry the Brahmins, the Shudras should marry the Shudras, the Vaishya should marry the Shudra. So even the inter-caste marriages were prohibited because it was a societal morality that you should not marry outside your caste. And it continued for centuries together. Then we had a constitution which said there can't be any discrimination on the basis of caste. But despite of that, I think we are more than so-called freedom is more than 70 years or so. So after 70 years, Every day there is a Khap Panchayat, every day the girls are being killed, every day they are being prosecuted because they opt to marry to a different caste. And to opt to marry to a different religion is still much more difficult. It becomes much more difficult if you are getting married to a Christian is still easy. If you are getting married to a Muslim, then it becomes very, very difficult. So even this inter-caste marriages or inter-religious marriages, it was also being prohibited by a social morality. And the constitutional morality said, okay, sorry, you cannot discriminate, you cannot stop anyone from marrying to an inter-caste or inter-religion. So it is not that it was happening only to the LGBT community in this country. It was happening to almost every one of us. If we are belonging to a lower caste like Shudra or Ati Shudra, then the moment someone asks you, "Aapki caste kya hai?" If you're writing, I'm writing Rajesh Kumar. So someone will ask me, and definitely in your life, if you are belonging to a lower caste, then many people are going to ask you. It's very simple. You say, if you're writing Kumar, they will ask you, "Aapki caste kya hai?" Then you will start thinking about it. What should I tell him? Should I tell him I am Shamar? Should I tell him I am so and so, I am so and so? Something is stopping you from disclosing your identity. There is a fear in your mind that once you disclose your identity, you may not be given the equal treatment which you deserve. It is the same feeling which almost all the people belonging to a lower caste are facing in this country as being faced by the LGBT community. So it is not that something very wrong is being done to you. It is that these wrongs, the people who are in minority, the people who are in the lower strata of society, as far as caste is concerned, as far as economic background is concerned, as far as religious is concerned, because, I was to rent out my property very recently. I shifted to my new home, so then a property dealer brought me that a tenant. The husband was a doctor, I think MD, working in government hospital. The wife was also a doctor. The husband was a Muslim from Aligarh. The wife was a Muslim from Srinagar. And the moment I had no problem with him because both were well educated. But everyone in my society came and told me, "आप मुस्लिम को क्यों रेंट पे दे रहे हो?" तो मैंने कहा क्या होगा? नहीं आप देखो कुछ मतलब they created a situation that I had to decide that I should not because it is annoying everyone in my society. So I opted. So what kind of fear or what kind of inconvenience may have been caused to these two doctors, young doctors, who are well educated, who are serving the society, even for getting a rented accommodation in 2018 in a very, very posh area. My neighbors were saying, don't give it to them. So even they were facing a kind of a discrimination of a social morality. So this is what is our prime concern is. It's not that a particular community is being targeted. It is that a large section of society are being discriminated, are being targeted, are living in the fear of discrimination, are being discriminated, are feeling little inconvenient to disclose their real identity. My identity as a caste or a community or a religion or of my sexual orientation. They belong to the same categorization. It is not at all different. So this is what I am trying to convince is that it is societal morality versus constitutional morality. And societal moralities are continuously changing. In our society, the intercaste marriage from 100 years, maybe in the 18th century or 19th century, it was just a dream. It was not possible. But nowadays, all those boys who are working in, say, universities or in call centers, they hardly bother for it. So societal moralities are continuously changing. They will continue to change. Like temple entry. No one can say as a matter of right that we won't allow Shudras to enter into the temple. They may not allow us, but they cannot declare it. So these are the moralities which are continuously changing. Now the real question is whether societal moralities should be allowed to take over the constitutional morality which says that there would be equality, there would be liberty. So these are the prime questions which were being considered by the court. And I don't agree with my friend Mr. Harish Iyer when he says that our marriages and our flag march and your flag march. So I feel little offended because it is not that your flag march and our flag march. All these LGBT communities are part of our society. I know as many as 20 persons around me who were involved in these kind of activities, and they were living altogether a respectable life. We all knew about them. We were not discussing it, but we all knew about them. Like in our profession, in society, in organizations, in armed forces. So it is a very, very natural phenomenon. So there was no reason to feel offended about it. And I think when we have friends, we don't discriminate them. I don't think that people who disclose their sexual orientation are being discriminated in the society. Yes, of course, there was a blot, there was a fear, and the fear should not be there. But my prime concern is that why should there be a fear in disclosing your identity of being a particular sexual orientation, of being a particular caste, or of being a particular religion. So this fear in the mind of the citizens should not be there, and I agree that there was a fear in the mind of the LGBT communities from not centuries together, because he rightly said it is a Victorian concept. I was just reading that for the first time, this order of nature, the Bagheri Act of 1533. So it didn't start with this, it started with the Bagheri Act of 1533. It was drafted by Thomas Macaulay around, then again drafted, section 377. The first act was the Bagheri Act of 1533, which says the Bagheri is an unnatural offense against the will of the God and the men. Will of the God and men. So earlier it was not against the order of nature. It was will of the God. And who was that God? And he rightly said, Victorian, the God was that the church said, okay, you cannot have any kind of a sexual relationship unless you are producing child, procreation. So if you are not doing it, then you cannot get into the sexual relationship. So it started from 1533, when it was the will of the God. The God was the Christ, the book was the Bible. So it was the will of the God, you should not have relationship of intimate relationship with of the person of other sex or the same sex, because it is not the, without producing children. So because it is not the will of the God. So then the will of the God of a particular community cannot be the will of the God for all of us. And for all those people like me who don't believe in God, who are atheists. So for us, this will of the God doesn't matter. You may say that it is our will of the God. We say, oh, I don't believe in your God. So your will of the God is not my dictate, no dictate for me, because I don't believe in your God. So it started with the will of God. Then it was 1957 mutiny. Then after the mutiny, they said it should be an act. So I don't know what is the correlation between the mutiny and this act being enacted. But it started after the mutiny, and then we had this Act of Offences Against the Person Act 1861. But they said that they came to their mind only after the mutiny. And thereafter it is still continuing with it. But to my observation and understanding, that great injustice has been caused to the LGBT community, because till the time that Nas Foundation case was decided by the High Court of Delhi, they may say that, as he rightly said, that they may say that the so-called minority, the word expression was the so-called minority, so-called municipal minority. So they said that there are only about 200 cases in 150 years. So there is hardly any violation. But I say that, as he rightly said, that even if I've got a sexual orientation, because right, for that purpose, if you say order of nature and the will of the God, and you say that you should have the intimacy only for the purpose of entering into a sexual for the purpose of producing children. Now the thing is that, as I say, that societal moralities are changing every day. Rather, in the last 10 years, it must have changed a lot. How many persons of your age, of my age, are getting into intimate relationship for the purpose of producing children? So, I don't think that persons who are getting into the marital relationship are getting into the intimate relationship for the purpose of producing the children. Nowadays, with the change of society, with the change of mind, with the change of surroundings, It may be for the purpose of companionship, it may be for the purpose of intimacy, but it may not be for the purpose of producing children. So it is a very, very outdated concept that intimacy for the purpose of producing children is an outdated concept. And this outdated concept should have been outdated much before, even by the government of India. But it still continued to be there. I feel very sad about when this Nas Foundation judgment was set aside by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the case of Suresh Kaushal matter. Then again, this societal morality of the judges are taking over the constitutional morality. Then you start interpreting the constitutional mandate as per your own convictions and convenience, because you believe that it is not, you believe in that Victorian concept that it should not be there. So then you set aside a judgment just on the basis of that the so-called minuscule minority. Then you say that as the prosecution is too limited, then it should not be bigger. It is against the order of the nature. Then the court judgment says that it is a kind of a sickness. And he was giving reference recently, 2017 or 18, the Mental Health Act. Then the Mental Health Act said that there won't be, no one could be declared as a mentally sick person on the basis of some religious belief. What was this? It was also a religious belief. It started with all that Victorian concept that it is against the order of the nature. It started with, it is against the will of the God. The will of the God became the order of the nature. So it is a matter of faith for them. It is a matter of religious faith for them. It may be a matter of religious faith for any of the, but I don't know, because in Indian, all our literature, we don't find any mention that someone is prohibiting any kind of a LGBT relationship, because this institution of Hijra is one of the most respectable institutions of this country. And it didn't start with the introduction of this Bagari Act and so and so. The Hijras were existing in this country from centuries together. We find their mention in all our holy books. So when the Hijras were there, and when the Hijras were entering into this kind of relationship, they were finding it not against the order of nature, but they were finding it is quite natural. So these institutions were being respected in our country. And I don't think that there is any holy book which said, okay, any kind of a relationship between a woman and men, or any kind of other kind of relationship is prohibited in any of the books. I don't know if you have gone through it. So it was never. They say that to kill a cow is a sin. They say everything we have a concept of papa, sin. So we say, ye paap hai, wo paap hai, wo paap hai, wo paap hai. Even intercaste marriage is a paap. But it was never declared to be a paap. So it was accepted because we are quite open to any kind of ideas. We were saying, okay, if someone is having any kind of a relationship and it is not disturbing the public order, you are doing it on the road, then it may disturb a public order. So if it is within the walls of your bedroom, then no society, no law, no constitution should be, and we should be very, very happy, and we should be very, very proud of our constitution, and we should be very, very happy and proud of our judges who are getting more and more liberal, right? Lawyers, yes. Lawyers who are making them liberal, because as they said that judges should be liberal, right? In 17, the Supreme Court says, okay, this judgment should be set aside Nas Foundation because it is not in violation of the provision of the Constitution of India. Just after 2 years, everything changes. If we have Justice Chandrachud and Justice Nariman, so two judges with the liberal attitude, they change everything and they say, sorry, your societal moralities, even of the judges who have passed the previous order, cannot take over the constitutional moralities. So kindly stand by the constitutional morality, these societal moralities which are saying us, okay, don't allow women to go there, don't allow women to do this thing, don't allow the intercaste marriages, don't allow the interreligious marriages. These are things which are outdated. These are things which should be declared outdated by all of us. And we should not wait for the judgments of the court. And I'm very happy that I couldn't listen to you for quite a long duration. I wanted, maybe we meet again. But enjoy the constitutional morality of this country.